Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on adding classes. This is Martha Perez with the CASAS Technology Support Team, and I will be presenting today's workshop. This workshop focuses on how to define classes and add instances of classes occurring within a program year. This function is only available with enhanced access. In other words, a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS is required. This is one of 23 complimentary CASAS Online Implementation Basics workshops that we highly recommend attending as many workshops possible to learn about best practices and ask questions to become confident in using the online system. Online help is available from our website, from training and support, for eTest Online, and TOPS Pro Enterprise. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources. Electronic resources are updated periodically, so going to them will help to ensure you are receiving the most current information. Information for today's workshop comes from TOPS Pro Enterprise Help, class, student, and personnel information. Okay. Now, class information, you may want to download the how to create classes. Okay. Now, before we get started, I want to be sure and point out where you will find access to CASAS eTests Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Okay. Notice the URLs I just pasted in the chat box, please. Now, this is the main domain name address you will want to use or you will use when your agency is set up in an online database. This is commonly referred to as the production server, where live data is produced. For today's workshop, we will be using a simulation server for a fictional school called Rolling Hills Adult School. Okay. The simulation server is populated with fictional data to give you a realistic training experience. Now, this is available to anyone wanting to explore and experiment the online system without the risk of compromising live data. Now, you will find information on how to access the simulation server from our website, from training and support, eTest Online Help, Getting Started, and you would like to download the simulation server. Okay. All right. Now let's begin, and please feel free to ask questions along the way. Okay. Now the CASAS Online system offers two methods for adding class records in your online database, with TOPS Pro Enterprise through manual data entry or import from a third-party system or fillable import template. To access TOPS Pro Enterprise for the first time on a local computer, click the TE client link or install at top left of your web browser window. Now, a client application will install on the local computer to connect with the online system. Now, a shortcut icon is automatically placed in the computer desktop. Okay. If you are a frequent TE user, you may want to pin the shortcut to your taskbar along the bottom of your computer monitor for quick access. Okay. Or when other applications are open to your screen. Okay. Now let's launch TE. Now TE opens to a login screen similar to eTests, except that you need to specify the server from the drop-down menu. We will be connecting to the simulation server. Simulation server has generic accounts for administrator, coordinator, proctor, and teacher login, so you may experience different types of user access. Okay. Coordinators and proctors do not automatically have access to TE. Now, access to TE may be granted by the agency to anyone with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Users enter the same login credentials to access either eTests or TE because there is only one database shared between both applications. Now, after entering login credentials such as administrator23@rhas.org and my password, which is admin all lowercase, I will click connect to establish connection to your online database. Now, TE opens to an empty screen. All data and reports are displayed from accessing menus along the top left. At top right displays the logged on user, application version, and general screen controls. Now, all user activity is tracked and recorded in the online system, so it is important not to share login credentials. Classes are manually added from the organization menu, classes. Okay. Now, each class set up in your online database has one definition record and an instance record per program year. Okay. Now, to add new classes, we're going to click Definitions. A list opens to display class definitions records set up in your online database. Now, by default, the list is sorted by class ID. Okay. To add a new class definition record from the toolbar menu at top left of this list, we're going to click New. A new tab opens to input class definition information into distinct sections, selecting the site and entering class definition information. Now, all classes are set up at sites. To select, click the drop-down arrow in the site field and select a site or child container to add a new class definition record. Okay. Now enter a unique class ID. Now the class ID is assigned by the agency to uniquely identify a particular class at a site. Okay. Now this is mandatory. This is a mandatory field and should match with a third-party system if you plan to exchange data between systems, such as importing class enrollments or attendance hours. Now use an extended ID to make multiple instances of the class from a common class definition. For example, if the class occurs each semester per year, extended ID fall allows you to use the same class ID in fall of each program year, and extended ID spring allows you to use the same class ID in spring of the current program year and in spring of each program year thereafter. Okay. Now, course code is optional. Now, a course code records class content according to local or statewide definitions. If entered, the course code appears in reports with the class ID. Okay. To describe a class offered on at a particular site, enter the class description as identified at the agency or from a registration system. Okay. There we go. Now, once you enter your class description from the toolbar at top of the new class definition information record, we're going to click Save. But just before we do that, let me tell you that the class description is a mandatory field, as well as the class ID and extended ID. Not extended ID, just the class description and class ID. Okay, now let's click Save. Now the new class definition record screen splits to display a navigator at left to add and access related records for the class and class definition information at the right. Now the next record to add for the new class is information about the class instance. The class instance record identifies when the class occurs during the current program year. Now from the class definition information record navigator at left, click Class Instances. Okay. Now to add a class instance for the class, we will click New at right. A new tab opens to input class instance information in 3 distinct sections: class definition, class instance, and intensity. Okay. When using the navigator to add a class instance from the class definition record, citing class definition fields, these fields auto-populate, saving time and ensuring accuracy with manual data entry. Now, using the navigator is the recommended approach when adding records that are related. Now, to select the program year, click the down arrow and select the current program year from the drop-down menu. Now, the next section provides details about the class instance. I'm going to scroll here. Okay, so I can fit it in my page. Perfect. Okay, now for class start and end dates, you can click the drop-down calendar to select the start date of the class. Okay, so we will give it a start date such as August 11th, and we will select an end date of the class. So this class will run through December of 2014. Let's say it falls on a Thursday, December 18th. Perfect. Now, check the instructional program that best describes the class offering. In this case, I will select Basic Skills or ABE. Now, we will check a special program to further define the class offering if applicable, such as distance learning. Okay. A transition class has a specific purpose to prepare students for entry into post-secondary education training or post-secondary education, training, or an apprenticeship program. Now we will check transition focus that applies to the class, such as transitions to work. Otherwise, you can click NA or check NA, or this class does not focus on transitions. Okay. Now, if applicable, we will select a focus area such as, well, to do this, click the drop-down arrow, and from the class, select either it's a civic participation or leave NA. Okay. Now enter class notes to provide additional details about the class. Now, enter the California Basic Educational Data System code if applicable. Enter the CBEDS codes reflect instructional practices and California national and state curriculum guidelines. Okay. Instructional setting is the contextual characteristic of the setting where actual instruction takes place. Now select the instructional setting that applies to the class, okay, such as classroom plus distance learning. Okay. Now physical setting identifies the environment of the classroom or instructional setting to support teaching or learning. Now select the physical setting that applies to the class, okay, such as adult school. Or otherwise, you can leave NA. Identify the time of day. Okay, let me scroll this. You can identify the time of day this class starts, such as evening. Okay. Now specify if computers are used in class or in a lab, and whether or not computers are connected to the internet. Okay. We will use the drop-down arrow for computers used in class, and we will select connected to internet. Okay. Now for intensity, we will enter the days per week when the class meets. Okay. Total hours per week also can be entered. And estimated total hours per class or term. Okay. After entering detailed information about the class instance from the toolbar at the very top, we will click Save. Now to close a new class instance tab, click the red X box and return to the personnel record. The new class instance record is now listed at right of the class definition information record. Now, a class definition and instance for the same class occurring in the spring may be added. Now, from the navigator at left, click Edit View, and then from the toolbar at top, we will click Duplicate. Okay. In the new class definition information record, we're going to change the extended ID from fall to spring. And then from the toolbar at top, we will click Save. Now click the red X box to close the new class definition tab and return to class definitions lister. To add an instance of the fall class in the spring, we will double-click Fall Class Definition Record. From the navigator at left of the Fall Class Definition Record, we will click Class Instances, and from Class Instances at right, double-click to open the Fall Class Instance Record. Now we will click Duplicate. In the new class instance information record, use the drop-down arrow menu to select Spring Class. Okay, and you can either, let's see, select the Spring Class, and then we're going to change the start and end dates. Okay, so this should reflect spring. And this will start on January, let's say this 19th. All right, and the class ends in, let's just say May 22nd. Okay, and then from the toolbar at top, we will click Save. Now click the red X box to close the new class instance tab and return to the class definition information record. Now click the red X box to close the class definition information record and return to the class definitions lister. Now use the More button at far right and click Refresh, or you can just simply click the Refresh button displayed on the top menu. Okay. Now it should now display both multi-level classes for fall and spring semesters. Okay. To view related records efficiently, at far right in the toolbar, click the More button and then Child Lister. This will take a moment to review. Now from Navigator at left, click Class Instances. Now with the ABE multi-level fall class definition record, this is highlighted at the top, and the class instance record automatically displays in the child lister page at the bottom. We're going to click to highlight the ABE multi-level spring class definition record, and now the class instance record for the spring now displays in the child lister at the bottom page. Is there any questions about manually adding class records in your online database? Anything that you need me to go through again and be very specific about the information? All right, I will take that as a no. Now let's look at the second method for adding class records with importing. As mentioned at the beginning of this workshop, there are two sources for importing records coming from an external source. Now this is from a third-party system or populating an import template. There is only one way to import this information, and this is from the Tools menu. Click Third-Party Import Wizard. The wizard opens to guide you with information displayed on each screen through the importing process. Now, from the introduction page or screen, click Next. From the new import session, click Next again. TE allows several types of imported records to populate and update information in your online database. To import personnel records, class records from a third-party system, okay, and then click Next. The most common file type for importing records is a comma-separated values file, or CSV. So this is what we need to select, and then we're going to click Browse to find our file. Now from the pop-up window, select a saved CSV file, one that was either exported from a third party or manually populated on an import template. Going to say class records 4050 import. Now when the selected file displays in the file name field, we're going to click Next. Okay. Now messages you want displayed are, oh no, something very important. Now the wizard is now ready to process the import data from the specified file, but very important, folks, to avoid duplicates with existing user accounts from importing and to specify class start and end dates, we're going to uncheck when missing auto-populate required names and user accounts with ID values, because this is not recommended in this case, in this particular case. Now we're going to go ahead and click Next. Now messages you want displayed are the content of the specified import file has been read successfully, as it is here, and some process records have been found to be invalid, etc. Now, invalid records are intentional in this case to give you the opportunity to load existing data to link with existing user accounts and specify class start and end dates before the import process completes. Import class records automatically adds class definition and class instance records and assigns teachers to classes by adding the functional role record. Now we're going to click Next to continue. Invalid records highlighted with corresponding error message at the bottom are displayed below the list of records. Now in this case, the error states invalid personnel and user account information. Now again, this is intentional to momentarily pause and edit records before completing the import process, to avoid duplicates and link with existing user accounts, and to specify class start and end dates. Click on highlighted record and then click Edit Records at left. Okay. Now if personnel, in other words teacher, records exist, then at bottom of the Edit Records window, we're going to click Load Existing Data. Okay, let me X out of that. We're going to load existing data. Now this will auto-populate existing personnel or teacher and user account information. We're going to click Yes. Okay, now it's loading. Now notice by loading existing data that errors regarding personnel name and user account information are gone and fields are populated as intended. Okay. Now notice by default, all classes with class ID start date, let me Let me scroll this bar. There we go. Okay. Now these fields, all classes import with class start date as the first date in the current program year. In this case, is July 1st, 2014. Now to specify class start and end dates for import records, use the Control A or Control plus A key command to highlight all records in the list, and then at left, click Edit Records. Okay. Now from the Data Correction Edit window, we will check class start and end date. Well, first the start date, and we will select our class start date, which was August 11th. And we will do the same with class end date, and we will enter our end date, which was December 18th of 2014. Okay. Now we will click Save, and the class and start date and end dates will be populated. Now, edited class records are now ready to import with as indicated by whitelisted records. Okay. No error messages at the bottom, and complete and accurate information per record. Now we will click Next to continue. Records are now ready to import. Click Next to import records. Okay, let's give it a few moments for the records to be imported. Okay, there's a comment. Sorry for not responding. My office is open, so I may have people walk in and I'm trying to take notes. So please know that I am paying attention. Thank you very much, April, for your comment. Thank you. No problem. If you have any questions, feel free to enter it in the chat box. Okay. Now, when you see the message displayed, the entire data set containing 12 records or so-and-so records into your online database have been successfully imported, click the Finish button. To verify imported class records, click More from the toolbar. Okay. And we will click the Refresh button. Okay. Now, on the top page, click the filter icon in the Extended ID column to filter for imported fall classes. So we will enter fall and click OK. Now, the top page now displays classes added manually, and which is the 1001, and imported classes, which are the rest of this class list here. Now the child lister page at the bottom displays the instance of each class with start and end dates. By clicking on the 1003 class, this will display the description in the child lister class instances. Okay. I will click on another class so you can see it has the same start and end date. These are our imported classes. Now we're going to click Teachers, okay, to display the teacher assigned to each imported class. In this case is John Smith. Now the teacher assigned to class, let's say 3001, Mary Smith, automatically displays in the teacher's child lister. Okay, this page is at the bottom. Now I'm going to click on another class and another class. Now, this class, the ABE multi-level class, does not have a teacher assigned, as you can see. Nothing at the bottom of the child lister. Now, one can be easily added from the teacher's child lister page at the bottom. Now we're going to click New from the teacher's child lister page at the bottom right. Click New. Now click the drop-down arrow menu to select Personnel, or you can either type to search. You can type to search in this field, or you can also select Personnel from a lister. Or you can also scroll to pick, but I already clicked this. So we're going to pick, let's see, you can alphabetize this lister here as well. And I'm just going to click Rick Wilson. Okay. Now we're going to set a start. Oh, and by doing that, selecting this person, we'll click pick. And now we're going to select a start and end dates for this class. Again, I want to use my calendar. Okay, excuse me, to populate the time. This is in August. And then select the end date, which ends up in December 2014. And this should be the 18th. All right, just to keep consistency. Now, at top of the functional role information, we're going to click Save. Right? Now, click the red X box to close the functional role information record and return to the class definitions lister. Now, the manually added class will also displays at the manually added teacher in the child lister page at the bottom. Are there any questions about importing or manually adding class records into your online database? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, April. Now, we can provide you with a folder of import templates to help you populate your online database. Okay. Now, without using manual data entry or a third-party system. Okay. Now, such as the one that we used for today's demonstration to import class records. All right. Now, the first sheet provides detailed directions to steps to populate the import template, steps to save the populated template as an importable file, steps to import records, and steps to view and confirm imported records. Now, the second sheet of information is the fillable template with sample data. Now, reference the exchanging data with third-party systems document included in the folder of import templates to identify the specified type of data to populate each column. Okay. Are there any final questions about adding classes before we wrap it up? How do I get to that folder? Very important question. I can send it to you. I will send it to you via email. That is very important that you entered your email address at the beginning of this workshop. So I'll go ahead and send it to you once this is finished. All right. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Perfect. Thank you for the email address. All right, now let's close this up really quick, or let me go back to my application. Now, to clear your screen at far right, we'll click on Pages and then select Close All Pages. Okay, now from the top left in the TE icon, click it and then click Lock. Lock your screen if you plan to return and continue working. Otherwise, click Disconnect from the server. and click again the TE icon and exit to exit the application. Okay. All right. Now, each workshop in a set of CASAS Online implementation basics builds on the last in a logical progression for helping you to get up and running with the online system. Now, we posted a playlist from past recordings on our website that you may review a previously attended workshop, or you may access them from training and support, e-test online help, workshop recordings, CASAS Online implementation basics. You may also access them from our social media newsroom in our YouTube channel. Okay. Now, please note the information that I just pasted in the chat box about our technology support team. Now, the support team is available to provide any technical assistance you may need to ensure successful implementation. Now, this email address alerts a support team that includes several members. Communicating to the larger group will help us to ensure you receive a timely response. Now, team members are available from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. All right. Well, we look forward to you joining us for the next workshop on adding class enrollments. That will be held on tomorrow. Now, thank you for your time, and this concludes the workshop on adding classes in your online database. Thank you very much, and have a nice rest of the day.